First Battle is a newly released book that anyone interested in the Second World War in Western Europe will find compelling. It is the first English translation of a diary written by Jean Moulin, a man who would later become one of the greatest heroes of the French resistance. In May 1940, against all expectations, the German army broke through the Ardennes forest and smashed the French defenses at Sedan. Within weeks, German forces had swept west, cutting off French, Belgian, and British armies from their supply lines and forcing the evacuation from Dunkirk. They then turned their attention to Paris and beyond. In mid-June, at the very moment France was collapsing, Jean Moulin was the prefect of Chartres, the most senior representative of the French government in a city just southwest of Paris. Hundreds of thousands of civilians were fleeing on foot and by road as the German advance continued. Moulin was ordered to retreat. He refused. He knew that if he left, food supplies would fail, sanitation would collapse, and medical care would cease. Thousands of civilians would be left to starve and die without assistance at the height of the crisis. Instead, he assembled a small group of volunteers. While the city was under bombardment, he reopened bakeries, kept essential services functioning, and ensured that the elderly, the sick, and the injured received care. He worked to contain civil unrest, confronted looting that threatened to plunge the city into chaos, and resisted those prepared to collaborate with the occupiers. When German forces arrived after taking Paris, they attempted to force Moulin to sign documents blaming black French colonial troops for atrocities the invaders themselves had committed against the civilian population. Despite being beaten and tortured, he refused. Believing that he would eventually be broken, Jean Moulin attempted to take his own life, plunging a shard of broken glass into his neck. He survived. The following year, he escaped to London before returning to occupied France as General Charles de Gaulle's representative, tasked with uniting the scattered resistance networks in support of the Free French. But before that, Jean Moulin wrote about the events in Chartres as they unfolded, in vivid, personal detail. The diary was published in French at the end of the war, and then largely disappeared from view. This edition presents it in English for the first time, carefully translated to preserve Moulin's humanity and profound sense of duty. It is accompanied by maps, illustrations, and contextual essays explaining both the circumstances in which it was written and Moulin's later role in the resistance. It is a short, accessible book, just over 25,000 words, around a third the length of a typical novel, making it one of the few surviving first-hand accounts of France's collapse written from inside the administration as events were still unfolding. For anyone interested in how states fail under pressure and in the earliest stirrings of resistance in France, First Battle is essential reading.